What's up, guys? We are on to 255 Toriko, and man, this chapter, if you watch my latest chapter review on 254, man, I have to take back a lot of words I said, because the last chapter, well, it made it seem like a lot of things were conclusive, but I'm beginning to think that with a lot of manga, you can't really even say anything anymore. Like one manga in particular, Bleach, I mean, like I don't want to spoil anything, but you think the guy's dead like 50 times throughout the chapter and throughout the series, and then boom, he somehow still survives. Same thing with other manga, and it's very clear that, like, with these sort of things, like, anything's technically possible. The sky is really the limit if you really want it to be, and this was the case. So last chapter, I was under the impression that Ichirayo had to have been killed. Jiro confidently said it. He almost said it. He said it in a way where it seemed like for sure that this what do you call it, he made it seem that for sure that he knew without a doubt that Midora had killed Ichirayu, and he made it seem like he had some secret knowledge that would be able to confirm this or not, and apparently that's not the case. We see in this chapter that Midora purposefully missed his final blow, thus not killing Ichirayu. Now Midora says it's due to the fact that he's not even worth killing because he's past his food expiration date and best eaten by date, and not even a dog would eat him. But based on how the author is like and how he functions, it's probably more to do with the fact that Midora actually has heartfelt feelings, which is completely the opposite of what I said last video on the last chapter. Because last chapter I was like, yeah, thank God the author finally has some guts. He's not a pussy, and he's actually willing to kill some freaking people, some main characters in the series. Apparently I have to take that all back. He's a pussy again. I don't blame him, because everyone likes it to be a happy ending and a good ending. But sometimes you have to add some real tragedy, and otherwise it's just too goody two-shoes, and it's not like reality. Reality isn't like this. There's a lot of tragic things happening in real life, whether you like it or not. And so I don't know how to think. I'm happy Ichirayu's alive. At the same time, I don't even know. Didn't really like that. However, I actually have my iTouch here, where because I'm going to be doing a freaking play-by-play. Now, I'm not going to do every chapter, but I'm going to do most of the, or excuse me, I'm not going to do every page. I'm going to do most of the pages, because I felt this one had a lot to go through. So are you guys ready? So first thing, the first 4 pages I pretty much just all summarized. However, the second thing is when Ichirayu, he pretty much says, well, Midora first off says he's going to use his meteor spice, which is pretty much meteors that are technically spices because they're sprinkled upon the earth, but at the same time they're meteors capable of destroying the whole human world. Well, he's raining down these meteors, trying to kill everyone, right? The thing is, he pretty much, like a stereotypical bad villain, tells his whole plan that he's doing this to kill all the humans to Ichirayu. Well, granted, you know, Ichirayu can't do anything anyways. He's pretty much screwed over right now. But then Ichirayu at the same time reveals his whole plan, which I felt was really stupid. And realistically, you don't do that if you want to live, because Ichirayu could just as well change his plans. I mean, up until this point, I thought he was a very smart, genius person. So for Ichirayu to just reveal everything to Midora, excuse me, I meant Midora was a genius, sort of mastermind person. I just felt it's the wrong thing to do, because Ichirayu was just like, since Ichirayu said, your meteor spice won't do anything, I've prepared stuff to counteract that, on top of the fact that I prepared my own full course to feed these hungry humans. All I need is someone to be able to cook it. And that's what he said to Midora. Now Midora knows this, and if he really wanted to, he could have freaking just decided, okay, thanks for telling me, now I'm going to send people to finish off your precautions and take away your full course. We don't know what's going to happen. Personally, from what I've seen so far, my biggest thing is that, I mean, these humans, at least the humans we've seen in Midora's flashbacks, these guys are really, really cruel. Like it or not, they're pretty darn cruel. And so I'm actually like, I'm not too freaking, I am not complaining at all that some of these guys are dying. It looks like not a single spice has actually landed on the human world. And sure, not all humans are bad, but it seems like, and it may just be me because I've seen some of the anime, and some of those were filler episodes, and these filler episodes had more human interactions in them, and the humans were jerks in them as well. But it seems like, at least in the Toriko universe, the humans are a lot crueler and meaner and just despicable people. Remember that flashback where that greedy ass human, he pretty much, he was starving, right? And so Froze-sama brought him a boxed lunch, but apparently he wanted like gourmet 5-star food or something like that. So he threw the boxed lunch on the floor and wasted it, despite the fact that he was starving. And he was angry and screaming at Froze-sama, and Froze-sama was like pampering to him, and I really don't think that's realistic. And on top of that, I think the author is sort of in like a fantasy world himself, not really understanding how it is in real life. Because in real life, that guy wouldn't logically do that unless he's mentally disturbed, because he is starving to death in the first place. So to be so picky is just retarded. It has nothing to do with being cruel, which is, it was what the author was trying to depict, but he failed, because more so he was, it just made him appear retarded. And the point of this is that I'm not so pissed off that the meteor spice is raining down. Midora, at the same time, I feel like, and I forgot to mention this last chapter, Midora is kind of screwed up in the fact that he is in fact so attached to Froze-sama that he is still hung up on the past and willing to kill the 3 other people who he has of importance next to Froze-sama to him, which would be his 2 other brothers. And he's pretty much killing off what remains of what he was really searching for, which was family. And I guess he just wanted Froze-sama as family, not any of the other brothers. Anyhow, let's just talk about Toriko. So at the end, and the whole thing was an allusion to the fact that Toriko and Komatsu and the Heavenly Kings would be the crew to take out whoever Ichirayu is talking about to be the real threat. Maybe that's it. Neo, the third faction. Maybe it's not. I think it could be Neo, but it could be something else. At this point, based on how the author thinks and writes the storyline, I feel like it's Neo. But at the same time, maybe it's not. I'm hoping it's not, but there seems to be a greater threat that Midora doesn't know about. And if it's Neo, it makes sense. I mean, Midora doesn't know about Neo. They don't know how strong Neo is, but we don't know how it goes. And then we got Toriko here, and it seems, based on my opinion, what has happened is that Toriko, because of that final desperation act, he was able to manifest his gourmet cells, and in the process they regenerated his limbs. So this is another example of how anything is possible in this universe, and this was a definite thing that had to be done, because no one wants to sit through that whole ordeal of him spending half a year regenerating one arm again. Anyhow, more importantly, for the very first time, and a lot of people probably missed out on this, for the very first time in a long time, we have some comic relief. We have Zonge-sama coming in somewhat like the Hercule of Dragon Ball Z, for almost a full page, just employing his comic relief again. And this was much needed, like it or not. If you've been watching my latest videos, you know how much I enjoyed every single chapter. From the whole beginning of this fight, at the start where the Colosseum got invaded, and then the fights began with Toriko and stuff, during the cooking contest, the cooking fest. And despite me just loving it completely, because I mean I completely loved the whole fact that it was so much fighting. It was like Dragon Ball Z. It was ridiculous, crazy power levels that just kept being topped every chapter. For like the first time in the last 50 to 100 chapters, we have a chapter where there's comic relief, even for a brief second. And I really think that for a lot of people who are diehard Dragon Ball Z fans or Naruto fans, the last 50 chapters really are what I would recommend for you to show someone if you want to get them into this manga, because they were terrific. Granted, there was definitely dozens of chapters earlier that were a little childish and slow and cartoonish, but not so anymore. Next, the next interesting point is this one, and we have here Zebra-san. And I really think I've talked about this before, but Zebra-san, come on, dude. I really hated the whole fact that, like, first off, he took out all those nitro effortlessly, and for him to be so easily captured in a split second by what do you call it, Jiro's grandson, it just didn't make any sense to me. For Teppei to be so strong, and for Zebra to be so underclassed by him, it didn't really make sense. I didn't think that type of class would be that strong. I was under the impression that Gourmet Hunters was the strongest class. I was wrong, but at the same time, I'm very impressed, and it's good to know that there are people stronger. But here he is, he's still freaking, what's the word? He's still entangled by these freaking thorns, and the one good thing is that it seems like Zebra is, first off, you guys know Zebra. He's completely like cocky. He doesn't like anyone but Komatsu, and I really like that whole relationship with him and Komatsu, especially with Komatsu as how he is. Do I think Komatsu should ever gain powers, physical powers? That's a whole nother video on its own. But I feel like that's what made Komatsu special. For him to have such good cooking skills, such talent, such gourmet luck, while being so completely frail and useless, and not powerful in fighting capabilities, which surprisingly makes him unique in terms of cooking chefs, which I found surprising, because you would think that all cooking chefs would depend on their gourmet hunters for fighting capabilities, but apparently not so. The gourmet hunters are very strong themselves in fighting. I mean, the gourmet chefs. excluding Komatsu. So anyhow, we see Zebra here, and he's trying to contact Komatsu and wake up Komatsu, and he's like, he's out of my range, wake up, kid. And it really shows that Zebra, he has the greater purpose in mind, and he knows what he's doing. He's there to protect Komatsu as well. That's what his main goal is. I really felt it, but at the same time, we know Komatsu is long gone. Like, there's no way. Like, he's already flying off to the Bishokukai Castle, so nothing can be done. But then again, as always, anything's possible. They may be able to stop and rescue Komatsu. Did I talk about, yes, Toriko. So his arms are regenerated. More so, they're not normal anymore. His I think it's his left arm, yes, his left arm and his right leg are now a sort of tannish color, similar to his inner demon. And what it is it's some sort of maybe it's like a metamorphosis, like a evolution or a Pokemon evolution or transformation, a Digivolve form, whatever you may call it. I'm guessing what happened is he partially evolved his gourmet cells. And remember that scene dozens of chapters ago where his inner demon told him, you will never get the full control of me, and I'll never fully come out until you eat that man's full course. And we assumed that man meant Akatia, and it seems like maybe partially he is now partially manifested the inner demon permanently, and maybe he'll just keep going until he becomes the inner demon. It may take full control of him, or maybe he's just upgraded, who knows. Now we have here Froze-sama, and based on the new flashbacks, it seems what potentially happened was the regenerative water made a zombie form of Froze-sama. Now that just seemed like how it was based, like the scene where we see Froze-sama grave erupt and then like the flower on top just like crumble and then like a hand shoot out. It was very stereotypically American zombie-esque. It was a very stereotypical zombie scene, and this was definitely done on purpose to allude to the potential of Froze-sama becoming a zombie. And we assume, well, I assumed from that okay, Froze-sama isn't normal anymore. Froze-sama is some disturbed version of herself. However, with this chapter, it seems like she can rationally think, and on top of that, it seems like she is logically thinking about stuff that the real Froze-sama would. So maybe she is Froze-sama. She's not disturbed, but her greater, like maybe her greater good is still there. But in order to accomplish that, she has to turn on her once friends, which include Setsuno and Jiro. At the same time, I'm very surprised that Jiro hasn't really commented on Froze-sama, despite being like with Froze-sama for the longest, potentially. And so I'm very interested in seeing how this progresses. Basically, she says, Froze-sama says, quote, so this spectacle ... was within your scope of calculations as well, was it ... Bishokushin Akatia. So with the latest chapters, we know that Akatia may still be alive. He's doing some weird shit in the gourmet world. Who knows what? Maybe battling even stronger monsters, 100 times as strong. He's definitely doing something life-changing. And it seems like Froze-sama might be her logical self, and she is seeing something. She's looking at the meteor spice with her freaking strange capture level 300 beast spinning underneath her in order to keep her afloat. and she's looking at the meteor spikes, and she's saying that this was all in Akatsu's calculations, which is I felt very amazing. It's an awesome thing for the author to say, because it's very calculated. It makes a lot of sense, and it really shows, whoa, holy crap, this was all under Akatsu's calculations. It's like chess, when you think 10 steps ahead, and then you realize that the opponent has thought 20 steps ahead of you, and you were always under their watch despite thinking that you'd completely lost your opponent. And that's what I see here. And the final thing is, I really think that the author is definitely making it up as he goes, because if it were any different, like, then Jiro definitely would have talked to or referenced or sort of mentioned about Froze-sama. He barely even, at least from what I recall, he barely even acknowledged this fake Froze-sama. So I'm assuming, like, the author is definitely making this up as he goes, and he didn't really decide to do the flashback with Jiro being associated with Froze-sama in that way until later on. Anyhow, it definitely seems that Midora is clueless about what's going on, because we see this panel here with Midora going like, what? All confused when Ichirayu mentions that there is a greater evil that they should be combating. We don't know what it is, but it's very interesting. And that's about it for this video. The one thing is that we see Toriko or Komatsu here saying, after like 10 chapters without Komatsu, Komatsu saying the catchphrase Toriko-san, and if any of you guys read the anime, it's definitely his catchphrase. And whoever plays the voice actor for Komatsu in the Japanese anime, it's perfect, so perfect for Komatsu. Not so much the English version, because that voiceover, the Komatsu has a very deep voice. He says Komatsu like Komatsu. No, he says Toriko-san like Toriko-san, and it's not right. But yeah, it really tugged on my heartstrings back when I used to watch the anime, and that's all I have to say. So as always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe for more, and please leave a comment down below if you watched all 23 minutes of this. I'd really like to see who actually did. I'd be really thankful for anyone who did, because, you know, according to the stats, the viewer retention is very, very low. They exit very early on in my videos. So if you guys do, just leave a comment below. I'd be very thankful. It really shows a lot of respect from you guys if you watched this entire thing, and I just want to thank you if you did. Thank you so much. And if you can, tell me why you did this, and what spurred you to do this, and when you did this. I'm really curious if anyone watches these videos potentially months after I upload them. That would be great. As always, peace.